Welcome to the Cat Protection Society Purrfect Podcast, a podcast developed for cat-loving humans who want to ensure their cat has a happy, healthy, safe and enriched 9 lives, and to celebrate just how amazing cats are as companion animals. Welcome to the Purrfect Podcast. Today we're going behind the shelter doors to discover what life is really like caring for the cats of the Cat Protection Society of Victoria. Today I'm joined by our shelter manager Emily and our shelter assistant manager and animal attendant Chloe. And we'll start with you. Introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your role at CPSV.
You just introduced me, so that's weird. So my name's Emily. I am the shelter manager here. So basically my job is to make sure that everyone is happy and healthy and to help as many cats as we possibly can throughout the year and make sure that we've got an awesome staff to do that.
Fantastic. And Chloe?
I'm the assistant shelter manager and I work alongside Em and guide the team to take care of our shelter cats every day.
Perfect. Okay, so Em, let's get started. What first inspired you to work with cats and join this CPS team?
So I was a vet nurse for 16 years in the end, and I laugh and say I became a cynical old lady. So I didn't want to work with dogs anymore. They were too loud, they were too big. I just wanted to work with the furry little cats. So I actually started as the practice manager and then moved over to the shelter manager when I sort of had to have enough of nursing and wanted to try something a bit different.
Yeah. And how long have you been with CPS for?
4 years maybe?
Yep.
I don't know, it feels like 15, but maybe 4.
Okay, all right, great. Chloe, tell us what first inspired you to apply for a job at CPS.
Well, I've always grown up with cats, and when I went to uni to study animal bioscience, I came across cat protection to do my placement. And through my placement, I just discovered a love and passion for rehoming and rehabilitating cats, and I've been here ever since.
Fantastic. And how long have you been with the team?
I think over 3 years now. Yeah. I left to do some vet nursing and came back, so I think that just shows my love for here.
Yeah. All right. So Chloe, obviously you spend a lot of your time on the shelter floors. What does a typical day look like for you? From opening the shelter doors to closing up, what keeps you the busiest?
So we first come in and feed and medicate all of our shelter cats, and we write on our daily observation sheets what their eating and toileting habits have been like overnight. Throughout the day, we will spend time doing enrichment with a lot of our timid and stressed cats. We also book them in for surgeries. We do adoption appointments every single day. And when we get the time as well, we do a lot of cleaning and additional things around the shelter. Yeah. When it comes to closing at the end of the day, we do our second rounds to feed and medicate all of the cats, and then we'll grab our surgery cats that will be ready for the next day.
Fantastic. So talk me through what happens at any adoption appointment. If someone comes in from the street and is interested in potentially adopting a cat or kitten, what's the process involved there?
So when they first arrive to reception, they will fill out an application. This gives us a rough idea of what their home setting is like and what specifically they're after. We'll bring them through in the adoption room and give them a rundown, especially if they haven't been here before. We'll describe all of the different sections and colours that we have of our adoption room. And I just follow through with what specifically they're looking for. I'll point out a few cats and we get them to interact with them, spend some time with them. As animal attendants, we go over their medical history and we'll talk about settling in and what to do when they get home with the cat.
Fantastic. Okay, that's great. And if someone is considering coming to our adoption shelter, how much time would you allow for an adoption appointment?
I try to typically allow at least an hour. I think it's important that owners are creating a special bond with the cat in the shelter, and we want to make sure that people are thinking carefully about the decision and that they feel that the cat is right for them.
Fantastic, great response. Okay, Em, back over to you. So what's one thing about your day that might surprise our listeners?
The amount of paperwork I do, which sounds really silly, but I just wanted to play with cats, really. It's the amount of paperwork that I do. So the amount of surrender applications that we can get up to 20 surrender applications a day. So it's making sure that we're able to help as many people as we can, but also sort of talking to other shelters and trying to help everyone. I think the thing that surprises people is that we also have a lot of behavioural cats here, a lot of timid cats. So we do spend our day trying to give as much enrichment as we can. So when people do come into the shelter and you see an animal attendant patting a cat, we don't do that all day, but that is part of our enrichment.
Okay, great. Whilst you've got the microphones, obviously every cat that comes through the shelter has its own story. Can you share a cat story that's left a lasting impression on you, and why?
Oh, I have so many. I think one of my favourites is Jemima. So Jemima was this little stray, came in with an eye injury. She was mean. She scared a lot of people. So we desexed her and we took out her eye that was hurting her, and I made the decision to put her in my office, thinking it would help her. She was in a crate, and one night she escaped from the crate and she was free in my office, which was terrifying. And she turned out to be one of the nicest cats I have ever met. Her love language was popping her nose up your nose and licking your nose to give you kisses. If I had meetings in my office, she would lie on her back with her feet in the air, wanting belly rubs. Yeah. So this little barn cat was actually really sweet, and she went to live with a young couple who had a dachshund, and the last I heard, her and the dachshund were best friends.
Amazing. That's beautiful. Chloe, what about you? Favourite cat memory and why?
There was a cat named Aries who came through, and she was a very angry mum. Yeah. She was everything that you could imagine an angry cat would do when she's presented with a human. And she was absolutely terrifying, but I made it my personal mission to break through. And it did leave me a few scars on my hand. But I think those sacrifices were worth it, because every day that I spent with her, her behaviour slowly improved. And then she started building a trust with not only me, but all of my other colleagues. And then obviously the lasting impression was seeing her get adopted. Beautiful. And she went home with another cat and they're best friends.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, amazing. So let's chat about helping people find their perfect match. So matching cats with their forever home is such a rewarding part of your work. How do you know when it's the perfect fit between a cat and their new family, Chloe?
I think when I see the cat interact with them, when the cat's really comfortable and I see that the adoptee is taking quite a considerate amount of time to spend with the cat, that's when I feel like it is probably a really good match. Yeah. When I see that people are able to read cats' body language as well, that's a really good indication to me that they may be suited for this specific cat.
Okay, great. What about on the flip side? How do you know when it's not a good fit between someone that's potentially interested in adopting and a cat or kitten that we've got in the shelter?
I suppose just the opposite, when people don't read cat body language. Sometimes when cats are a little bit too playful, sometimes people might interpret that as the cat being a bit too aggressive. So for me, I think it's just about figuring out what their knowledge of cat behaviour is, and also it comes down to their history as well. If they haven't grown up with a lot of cats, it might not be suited for them to be adopting a cat that's quite timid, or someone who's too rough with playing as well. Yeah. So sometimes when I see people flinch with cats and I can see that they're a little bit uncomfortable, that's a pretty clear indication that maybe it's not the suited cat for them.
Yeah. Okay, great insight. Okay, Em, what do you wish more people understood about adopting from a shelter?
We don't know where they come from. I think that's the biggest thing, is we really appreciate people coming in and adopting and giving these cats a chance in a home, but a lot of our cats are strays. So we can tell you that they came in as a stray, but we can't give you any background on them. What they are like in a shelter, which is where they've been and they've gotten comfortable, is not going to be like what they're like when they get home. They're going to be terrified. They're going to be scared. You've disrupted their routine. So giving them time to settle in, and then that way they can show you their personality that we see, is very different. Sometimes cats in here, one person, there's a cat in here that hates my guards. He fully hates me. So what everyone else sees, I don't get to see. Yeah. But giving him time in a home, everyone will see what he sees and what he is. Yeah. But they are strays, so we don't know.
Okay. And so for our listeners that are tuning in, what support can we provide post-adoption?
So we are starting up a new sort of post-adoption behavioural service. We're kind of getting it in motion at the moment. But just if anyone is concerned, just call. Yeah. Just give us a call. Let us know how you're going. If you're worried that they're not eating or things like that, because sometimes cats will go home and they'll go on a hunger strike, which can be normal, but it's working through that so that they do start feeling comfortable and not pushing the cat. Yeah. You don't want to push them and then them get scared and it takes twice as long.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's have a chat about care and teamwork. So there's obviously a lot of love and care that goes into preparing every cat for adoption. How did the shelter and vet clinic teams work together to make sure that every cat gets the best start possible?
So we're really lucky we have our own shelter vet team here. So what happens is that Chloe and I mainly, but the animal tenders as well, we'll work with the vet. So most of the cats that come in, they need to be desexed and microchipped. We FIV test all of our cats in the shelter so that we have that information as well. We're seeing a lot more dental disease. So it's about booking these cats in for surgeries. And then once they've had their surgeries, working with the vet team to do their post-care or booking in their following surgeries. And we also work with the foster team as well. So if they've had major dentals, we'll pop them out into foster for recovery and then get them back when they're ready.
Okay, great. Chloe, back to you. We've spoken a little bit about the fact that there are some behavioural cats that come in, and a big part of our time is spent enriching cats. What is your favourite way to comfort or enrich cats while they're waiting for their new home?
Treats are definitely one of the best ways that we can comfort our shelter cats. We try to make it a really positive experience when we're providing enrichment, but it's also about giving us a little bit more perspective that it's going to be a very stressful time for them with any type of interaction. So if we can find some really fishy treats, it can help settle them, and it can also increase their appetite as well. Some of our really timid cats that we see in the shelter do go on food strike, and that's due to stress. We also have our amazing cat scratchers, and it definitely saves our hands from getting a few swipes and scratches every day. So we use that once we find that the cat is comfortable enough to reach to that stage. Yeah. I normally try with treats first, and then I'll go in with a scratcher, because sometimes the scratcher can be a little bit too overwhelming for the cat. We've also introduced this new plan to, at midday every single day, we turn off the lights and try and play some spa and calming music for the cats. And we sometimes put on disco lights as well, because it provides a little bit of entertainment. And we try and do enrichment in those hours because it's very peaceful and quiet for the cats. Yeah. Less noise is the best way to go. But sometimes one of my favourites is also just sitting there with the cat. If they can just get used to you sitting there and looking at you, that's a really good step before you go to the touch stage with them.
Fantastic insight. Let's have a chat about rewards and challenges. So obviously this work can be heartwarming and heartbreaking. What's been your most rewarding moment? And on the flip side, what's been the hardest part of your job, Chloe?
I think the most rewarding moment is obviously just seeing them get adopted, especially when you've spent a lot of time working with the cat and you see how far their behaviour has progressed. And the hardest part for me is just the emotional turmoil it can have sometimes. I know we try our best to not become attached, but when we're seeing and feeding the cats every single day and spending enrichment with them, you do get a little bit of attachment. Yeah. And sometimes medically, if something does happen to our shelter cats, it can be really disheartening to see what that outcome will be. So for me, that's probably the hardest part, but it's a very bittersweet feeling. Yeah.
Really honest, thank you. All right, Em, back over to you. So Chloe has chatted about what she finds to be the most heartwarming and heartbreaking parts of her job. What about you as our shelter manager?
Oh, rewarding is the oldies, when the oldies get adopted, because they kind of miss out a little bit because they're old. So I like when the elderly cats go and they go find their end of life homes. I hate kitten season, and I am very vocal about kitten season. I dislike kitten season. That is the hardest part of my job, is that no matter how many cats we desex, no matter how many educational things we put out there, we make it cheap, we will still get so many kittens and pregnant mums and mums that have had newborns. That is the hardest part. That is the part where I come to work and I'm like, oh, we got another 20 in. Okay. Great.
So chat to our listeners. When is kitten season? When does that period start and end? period?
So it used to start end of October, early November is when we used to see the pregnants come in, didn't we? No one was sort of giving birth yet until mid-November, and then it runs through till about April, May.
Yeah.
Kitten season this year went to June and then started in September. So that break that we get, we didn't get a break this year. It is getting 100 times worse, and we are getting so many more kittens brought in that it's just, I think over the next couple of years, we will actually just see that all year will be kitten season.
And again, for our listeners, what they may not be aware, how old does a kitten need to be before they're available for adoption? And what kind of happens before that period?
So sometimes it can be based on weight. So we desex kittens at 1 kilo, which they can be about 8 to 10 weeks, depending on their start in life. And then all going well, they'll get desexed and popped up for adoption. So a lot of the times when we are getting little kittens, they'll go straight into foster and kind of grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
You won't get a kitten younger than sort of 8 to 9 weeks in an adoption shelter.
Yeah. Closing thoughts. Em, if you could describe your work at our adoption shelter in just 3 words, what would they be?
Can I do 4 words?
You can do 4 words.
Because my brain just went, I can't do 3. Very hard, but rewarding.
Okay. Chloe.
Well, Em kind of took the words from my mouth, but I would say physical. It's a very physical job.
Yeah.
Chaotic and rewarding.
Okay. Beautiful. Chloe, so finally, what do you hope that listeners will take away from hearing from you and your stories today?
I hope our listeners have a little bit more perspective when it comes to shelter life.
Yeah.
It's not just all friendly and confident kittens and cats that you see. We do have a lot of neglected strays that come in. So I think it's just about providing that perspective so next time they do come into an adoption shelter, they are a little bit more considerate of the different personalities and also the work that we do. It's not just about patting cats all day.
Yeah. Thank you. And Em, final takeout.
Overlook the kittens. Sounds horrible. Sounds so bad. Kittens will always get adopted. We could be full of kittens on a Friday and empty on a Monday. I have no problems with the kittens. But sometimes go and meet the adults. Go and meet the teenagers.
Yeah.
Go and meet the scared little cat, because we have cats here that don't like certain people but love certain people, and we have cats here that love everybody. So meet everybody. Overlook the kittens.
While you've got the platform, again, for people listening in, what could be a benefit of adopting a teenager or an adult or even an oldie over a kitten for someone that is new to cat ownership?
They don't destroy your things. A kitten, I call them the grot goblins. They're messy. They climb things. They want constant affection and attention. You need to... Basically, they're a toddler in a cat body. Whereas if you get sweet old Smokey, who's 2, he's quite happy to sit on a bed, come when he needs something, and then go away. So I think base it on your lifestyle as well. Kittens are cute, but they are a lot of work. And if you've just bought a brand new couch that you don't want being scratched, kitten ain't for you.
Yeah. Thank you. A very big thank you to Emily and Chloe from the Cat Protection Adoption Shelter for joining us today. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Cat Protection Society Purrfect Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the show in your podcast app so you don't miss an episode. And we'd love if you can share this podcast with any friends, family or colleagues who all love things cats. In the meantime, you can visit our website at www.catprotection.com.au.